Good morning, everybody. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about the vacancy rate. Okay, so what is the vacancy rate in your market? Go post it down below real quick. So essentially, it could vary by property, by location, but usually, there might be a vacancy rate for the whole United States. That would be very, I don't know how useful that would be. I think you can have a vacancy rate for a city, like a town. If it's really, really large, you might want to break it up by, suburbs or something like that. But even within Sioux Falls, where I'm from, there's a vacancy rate for the town, and it's self-reporting. And so the South Dakota Multifamily Housing Association, I think I said that wrong, but they'll do their vacancy survey, I think twice a year, and then they'll send out the information to those in the industry that are interested. Also, if you give a call to a couple of property managers, they'll give you an idea of within their portfolio maybe what the vacancy rate is. Some of them might be a bit more competitive, and so you can see the differences there. I just kind of wanted to go over how you might want to calculate it. So let's say we got January through December every month of the year, and you're full, and then in your single family house rental, 1 month they move out, you go in, you rehab, someone signs a lease, and then they move in the start of the next month. So you had 1 full month of vacancy. I mean, you could drill down and say how many days vacant, but just for simplicity's sake, you kind of have to figure out how you're going to draw the line somewhere. So I got it by months here. So if it's 1 full month, obviously if it wasn't a full month, then we need to kind of drill down. But 1 month out of 12, well, that is 8.3% vacancy. All right, I think that's actually fairly close to what you might expect. I mean, 1 month out of the year, that's, it'd be awesome if it's 5% vacancy. And actually down here I have 0 to 15%. So 0% vacancy isn't necessarily a good thing. If it's a single family house, you kind of really, really want that. But let's say you have quite a few units in your portfolio at some point, and you have 0% vacancy. Well, if you have no vacancy, what that might mean is that your rents are too low. Maybe once you start charging rent, then you have people move out when you're getting in line with the market. But that can be a sign that rents are below market. But I know some people aim for 0 vacancy, and so it's just something that I kind of look for. Do they have a lot of vacancy? Why? Is that something that we can improve? And then 15% vacancy, really any high number. When I had my fourplex over here, so 2 out of the 4 units were vacant, I think, a month after I bought it. So that's a 50% vacancy, because it's 50% occupied and 50% vacant. But they got rented, and then so on that day, it was 50% vacant. But then throughout the whole year, which I think is a better snapshot, because if you go by day, it's just really hard because, what day did the tenant move in? They signed a lease, so it's like maybe they stayed a couple days and didn't pay. So is it physically occupied, or is it economically vacant, to where someone's living there but not actually paying? So to make it cleaner to look at it without drilling down too much, looking at it on the monthly, as far as physical occupancy is, or the economic is pretty good. So here, because both units did major rehab, let's say it took 2 months to rent each one, all right? Just for instance, well, that'd be 4 months that I had vacancy, okay? Even though it wasn't over 4 months, it was 2 months and 2 months kind of overlapping, but still 4 months divided by the 48, it actually is still 8.3%, which is kind of fun. Obviously that would vary if it's 3 months or 5 months. You can do the math. But at one point, it could be a really high vacancy. It would be, I think, a little bit scary to see 15% vacancy over the full course of the year. I would want to see, okay, is the economy really tough? Is this in a certain part of town that we can't do too much about, or do we need to improve the property? Why is the vacancy that high? I think a couple years ago here in Sioux Falls, they, I can't remember if it was 11 or maybe it was 14% vacancy at one given point. And then 6 months later it might have been 8%. So also, if they're building a lot of new inventory, then the absorption rate can affect this a little bit, even though they aren't actually counting vacant units that are not finished, as far as not online yet. So yeah, so that's all I got for you there as far as the vacancy rate. Know how to calculate it on your own rentals, because guess what? At some point, someone's going to ask you, hey, what's your vacancy rate there? When you have a single family house and one person moves out, it's 100% vacant. And then, one person moves in and it's 100% occupied and 0% vacant. So you'll flip back and forth. Once you get multiple units, then that's when the percentage actually starts to tell you something a little bit more besides 0 and 100%. So go ahead and comment below. I'd love to know about your guys' local vacancy rate. So comment below. Thanks.